Hey, it's Debbie Jo at Centered Healers, and I am going to talk to you today about centered healers. Have you ever asked yourself the question, are you centered? Let's go over that. Imagine yourself walking into a store, a place, somewhere where you have to be, and you're there for about 2 to 3 minutes. And all of a sudden, your energy starts shifting, and you go from being this really good, in a yummy place feeling, and you're like excited to be there, excited to have the time to spend with your friends and family. And then 2 minutes in, you start getting agitated, you start getting frustrated, feathers start ruffling, etc., etc., etc. Well, what if I told you that's a sign you're not centered? So now we know the simple answer of this. What possibly can we do about it? So that energy that you're picking up, that frequency that is being, like pushing through you to trigger you, that's because the internal person and the place that you're in at this moment isn't quite seated down inside in your centered healing. And this is why it's happening. You're picking up actual frequencies of other people. And it's, we hear these terms like triggered. Well, it's triggering something inside of you for you to be aware of and understand. How do you get through them? What do you do? And what steps can you take for yourself not to be triggered and truly stay in your power as a centered person and healer? It's a pretty bold statement to sit here and say, if you're being triggered, you're not centered, but it is what it is, and it's the truth of the situation. How do I know? Because most of my waking journey on this planet has been having to transmute and help other people, and nor did I know the empathic abilities that lied within me, and I always was being affected by those around me and never understanding truly how that was or why that was, until I realized that I wasn't centered. And that took a lot of work to truly stay in a place that doesn't have you picking up on everything around you and being reactive versus proactive, and being reasonable with our thought processes, and knowing that that's their story. And their story is just that, their story. And as long as I'm centered, it's not going to affect my story. It's a good technique. It takes some time to learn, but it's doable. If you are constantly plagued, like I was, run forest run scenario with being able to participate and be around people and their elements and everything that they are doing, and you want to be there, but you just can't figure out how to get in a centered place, I'll help you if you're really ready for the journey. But it takes a lot of internal reflection, honesty, and even some transparency with yourself for you to be able to get to that point. But it's, again, like I said, doable. Well, if you've stuck around this long, you've realized now that we've called out why people, I think, really, truly in the healing world are having maybe some symptoms and hiccups at this time as we walk in through the Aquarius seasons of our lives, where love is being reseated upon earth, and we have this place and ability to be centered in who we truly, authentically are meant to be. And I hate to bust the excitement here, but all this work happens internally, not externally. And as much as we can reach for out there, above. Even the moon is still in the skyline this morning. The hard truth is that if you're having ascension symptoms in this new age world, it's simply because there's still internal work that needs to be done. Because if those things have been taken care of and truly found your way through them, you wouldn't be having pains, aches, ascension symptoms that they talk about. Those are growth pains. So that good old heart-brain balance, that divine masculine, the divine feminine, are going to keep these energies turbulent for probably a few years. How do you ensure you stay centered? Self-care. Guys, start researching Egyptian mystery schools. Start understanding what Kabbalah is. Start finding out what the symbols mean. You know, energy healers. Understand what frequency therapy is. How does that affect us? What does that do for us? How are we going to be able to work through all this stuff? And where does that come from? Like, there's ancient wisdom that is seated within you. You just have to unlock the keys to find them. So now you know the truth, or an ideal of it. Tune in, like and subscribe. This is my element, being outside. So I think what that means for me is that I'm just going to start doing these more outside. Simply because it gives me clarity. It is part of how I ground down these energies, because they're turbulent. The masculine's hanging on for dear life and the feminine is rising. And the balance has to take place for it to be seated into the new age planet of love. Because we all are balanced. We all need to be balanced, actually. So, there's my version. If you're finding yourself in those types of situations, just know it's not because you're going crazy or you got any other issues, except for you're just not centered. And it's all right. It's a journey. It's been a lifelong journey for me. So like, subscribe, follow along. I hope you are all well. Much love and light.